PoliticsToday. Right about now, we want to talk about trending topics. In the past week, we've had cases of Naira mutilation, and I'm sure you must have seen the viral video of one of billionaires Okoya's sons, flaunting the Naira, and of course there was a military personnel right there holding the money for him and his brother. And there has been a lot of conversations around it. Just also looking back, we've also seen the arrest of people like Chief Priest, Cubana Chief Priest, and also Idris Okuneye, who also were charged with mutilation of the Naira. So we just really want to shine light on this particular issue, which is understanding the law around Naira mutilation. What is Naira mutilation in the first place, and why are the laws so strict in Nigeria as opposed to how, what is obtainable in other countries as well? So we just want to have a holistic view on this particular topic. And joining me in the studio, I have a commercial and dispute resolution lawyer, Victory Ise-Ohime. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right. So what is Naira mutilation? Let's even start from there so we can understand.
So Naira mutilation refers to various acts of defacing or destroying of Naira.
Yeah.
They include acts such as spraying, stepping on, tearing, stapling, writing on Naira.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, first, we have a lot of notes that are bad. It is the Central Bank of Nigeria's responsibility to actually take out these bad notes and reprint new notes, which it's not an easy process, and it also costs a lot of money.
Exactly.
Why is Naira mutilation such a terrible thing?
Naira mutilation is actually terrible because it can cause a very bad effect on the economy at large. I remember the time of scarcity, businesses were shut down because there were no Naira, there were no currency in circulation. And that's one of the effects of Naira mutilation. It could cause businesses to close down. It could cause chaos between customer and a business person when there are arguments over torn notes or mutilated notes. Okay.
Can you tell us more about the laws? What are the clear lines of what we shouldn't do with the Naira? Tell us about the laws.
Okay, so the Central Bank of Nigeria Act, specifically in Section 21, prohibits mutilation of Naira. Acts such as, in the Act mentions specific acts such as mutilation, tearing, stamping, stapling, writing on the notes, spraying notes. They constitute violation or abuse of the Naira notes.
All right. I know that the Naira is a reflection of who we are as a nation. And of course, we need to, as much as possible, respect the notes, because when you respect the notes, you respect the country.
Yeah.
But also, when we talk about our cultural practices as Nigerian, spraying money is almost part of our culture. It has existed even before the Naira was invented. It is very customary that if you want to even, let's take for example marriage, the Yoruba tradition, you have to pay. There has always been the money factor in our celebration. So how can we strike the balance between preserving a cultural practice and also preserving the integrity of our Naira?
Spraying of Naira notes in parties or using of Naira notes in celebration is an age-long cultural practice. It's ingrained in almost every celebration in Nigeria. But a balance has to be struck between, carried out that cultural practice and respecting the Naira. There can be creation of devising means for spraying fox notes rather than spraying the actual notes. So people can be encouraged to spray fox notes instead of spraying Naira notes, which is almost the same. It preserves the same celebration effect or the happiness that goes along with spraying the actual Naira notes. And also people can be encouraged to exchange envelope or give envelopes to celebrants at events rather than spraying Naira notes into the air, in which case it can be damaged, squeezed, torn.
Okay, let me be very particular, and I'm addressing this because it's a trending topic. One of Okoya's sons has said that he was only creating content with the Naira, that he did not physically damage the Naira. So is what happened in that particular video, is it Naira mutilation? Should there be consequences for that action? Or are there other areas, like for example the law enforcement agent or the law enforcement officer holding the Naira for him? So what exactly is the problem, or what law did that particular video break?
So the Central Bank of Nigeria Act mentions spraying of Naira as one act of defacing or damaging.
He wasn't spraying the Naira, he just had it in bundles.
He sprayed it into the air at some point.
Yes, okay, yes.
He had it in bundles, he carried it about, and at some point he sprayed it into the air, and that is mentioned specifically in the Central Bank of Nigeria Act.
Yeah, but now that he has said that he created content with it, could that not be some sort of creative form? Because even when you're watching movies, there's a level of I'm trying to look for the exact word, but there's a level of allowance given to creative to interpret certain things. You know what I mean? So like in movies, you see a movie and somebody's shooting a gun. You can shoot a gun in the movie, but you can't shoot a gun in real life and not get arrested. So with that mindset, saying that he created content with it, do you think he can get away with this?
It depends on how his lawyers are able to pull that out. But like I said, the law is very specific that spraying of notes is an act of abuse to the Naira notes. And for movies, like you said, in movies most times they do not use the actual Naira notes. They use Fox notes rather than the actual Naira notes, and that is allowed.
So we've been able to devise means on how to actually spray at parties without necessarily breaking the laws. But again, we don't even know if we're breaking the laws or not. So these days people they spray money into cartons, they spray money into buckets. Some spray it in bundles. So does that also fall under the category of mutilation? Really need to know, because a lot of Nigerians, we still spray money at parties, but now we spray it either in bundles or we spray it into a bucket.
So it's any act that demeans the Naira notes is an abuse against the Naira notes. And for spraying into baskets or into buckets, it depends on how they were carried out. I would assume, or I would see it as an abuse where multiple persons are struggling to spray on a basket that is not very open, and in that way the Naira still falls onto the ground.
So the issue is the Naira falling onto the ground?
Not just the Naira falling onto the ground. The issue is the Naira being carried or being held with dignity. Okay, being exchanged with dignity.
If you spray in bundles, are you respecting the Naira when you spray in bundles?
I would say that if you spray in bundles and you are throwing it onto surfaces or you are throwing it on people, the purpose is defeated. Okay,
but if you're just putting it into another container, that's fine.
If you're putting it into another container, it can pass.
All right, so again, when you check the mutilations, the mutilation laws in Nigeria, and then you compare it to that of the US, it doesn't carry the same weight. In the US, you are allowed to spray your dollars, and it doesn't have the same consequences. Why is that? Why are other countries lenient with theirs?
So in other countries like the US that you have mentioned, they criminalize or they penalize mutilation of Naira notes, just like in Nigeria
Dollars,
too.
you mean?
Oh, sorry, of dollar, of their currency, just like in Nigeria too. And Nigeria has put it upon themselves to, or the Nigerian government has made it a duty to penalize it, taking a further step to penalize it and sensitize the public on the effects of mutilation, probably because it's cost effective to replace mutilated notes. In Nigeria, they import the materials that are used to produce currency, unlike in the US, where the materials that are used to produce them are locally sourced. In the US also, they do not depend so much on currency, physical currency, to carry out transactions. But in Nigeria, most of us depend on physical currency to carry out transactions. The person selling on the streets, hawking on the streets, may most likely not accept electronic means of payments as payment for his goods or services, and unlike in the US and other countries.
All right, thank you very much, Victory Sekohime. Thank you for coming on the program, and our Naira is very precious to us. Please respect it.
Now it's time to show and